When we think about the Cold War, our minds usually jump to images of massive missiles and silos or, these tense showdowns between world leaders. But behind that huge, abstract curtain of global politics, there were real people on a very real, very dangerous front line. Today, we're going to pull that curtain back and tell one of those stories, a soldier's journey right into the heart of America's nuclear testing program. So, picture this. It's 1987. The Cold War is still very much a thing, and deep in the deserts of Nevada, some incredibly secret work is happening. This document you're looking at, the Mighty Oak Test Report, is basically our window into a world almost nobody ever got to see, the Nevada test site. This was a hidden front line where the atomic age was literally being shaped day in and day out.
And that really gets you thinking, right? What did it actually take to get a job there? I mean, we're not just talking about having security clearance. It was about being a very specific kind of person, someone with a unique set of skills who could be trusted, absolutely, to work under immense pressure with zero, and I mean zero, room for error. So yeah, what did it take?
Well, to answer that, we've got to meet the soldier at the center of our story, a man named Jerry. His journey didn't just start in the Nevada desert. Nope, it began years before, building this incredible foundation of expertise that would eventually make him one of the most reliable specialists in the entire U.S. Army.
This timeline really maps it all out. You can see this clear progression of trust and responsibility. So in '78, Jerry masters the theory of nuclear, biological, and chemical defense. Okay, great. But by '82, he's proven that knowledge in the real world with 100 perfect, flawless missions. And that perfect record, well, that's what led him to his most critical assignment in 1984.
And here's the paper to prove it. On the left, you've got his certificate from that NBC defense course. On the right, the award for completing 100 nuclear surety cargo missions. You can literally see the connection here between tough, rigorous training and flawless real-world execution. The Army was carefully, methodically building and testing his expertise every step of the way. And listen to that word, flawless. I mean, that's the key here. In this kind of work, there is absolutely no margin for error. 99 out of 100, not good enough. Jerry's perfect record wasn't just a footnote. It was officially recognized with a commendation medal. This sent a crystal-clear signal to the top brass. This is a soldier who can be trusted with the nation's most sensitive assets, period. So, with that kind of proven expertise under his belt, where does Jerry go next? He gets sent to the absolute nerve center of America's nuclear program. A place so secret, so restricted, it was practically not even on the map. So what was the Nevada test site? Well, you can think of it as America's giant outdoor laboratory for the atomic bomb. Deep under the desert, they were setting off underground nuclear tests. Why? To study the blast effects, to make sure our own stockpile was reliable, and to figure out how our military gear would hold up in a nuclear war. It was absolutely essential for maintaining nuclear deterrence. And the daily work there? Wow. It was incredibly intense and unbelievably hazardous. This was not your typical 9-to-5 job. You had teams dealing with the immediate aftermath of nuclear explosions, going into tunnels to check for toxic gas, cutting these super sensitive diagnostic cables that were right next to ground zero, and always monitoring for invisible radiation leaks. So it probably goes without saying, but you didn't just get assigned here by chance. The folks at the test site were the absolute elite. Every single person was handpicked. They were vetted like you wouldn't believe, and they held the highest security clearances possible. They were mission critical. The whole national security program was riding on their shoulders. So, inside this high-stakes world, what was Jerry's specific role? He wasn't just some cog in the machine. No, he was a linchpin. He was responsible for the logistics that made the entire massive operation even possible. This document right here, this is the key to understanding his contribution. It's the official citation for the Defense Meritorious Service Medal he got for his 4 years at the test site. Let's break down what it says, because honestly, the details are pretty incredible. First off, check out his dual role, truckmaster and liaison NCO. What does that mean? It means he was managing both the physical stuff, the entire fleet of vehicles, and the human element, coordinating between all the different teams and agencies on this massive site. That is a huge amount of responsibility. So what were those vehicles doing? Well, as Truckmaster Jerry was directly in charge of running highly sensitive convoy missions. Just think about that for a second. In this place, Highly sensitive meant you were moving materials and equipment that were absolutely essential for pulling off an underground nuclear test. Every single one of those missions had to be perfect. But this part shows he went way beyond his job description. He didn't just manage the fleet, he revitalized the procedures. He made them better, more efficient, and he saved a ton of money in the process. That kind of initiative really shows a level of dedication that stood out, even among a group of people who were already the best of the best. So, at the end of the day, what was the bottom line? What did all this work lead to? Well, his efforts, his perfect logistics, his leadership, they directly contributed to the successful completion of 8 major nuclear tests. This wasn't some abstract thing. It was a direct, tangible, and vital contribution to America's national security during the Cold War. But, it wasn't all serious life or death pressure. This certificate is just a fantastic little peek into the human side of this super secret world. It's an award for the Sublime Order of Spooks, given to him by the counterintelligence guys. It's basically a funny way of recognizing his skill at navigating a world of spooks and spies and devious means. It just goes to show you there was real camaraderie and a sense of humor, even in one of the most serious places on the planet. Okay, let's just step back for a minute. Because all of this work, this incredible dedication and precision, it came with a personal cost. It was a weight that every single person out there at the test site carried with them, every single day. And that whole burden is just perfectly symbolized by this one little object, the radiation monitoring badge. You could say it was the single most important artifact of life at the test site. It was a constant physical reminder of the invisible danger they were all facing. Every single morning you pinned that on your uniform, you were acknowledging the risk you were about to take. And that's really the heart of this whole story. That grand, abstract idea of nuclear deterrence, the very thing that kept the Cold War from turning hot, it wasn't built on just theories and policy papers. It was built on the tangible reality of individual soldiers like Jerry, accepting personal risk day in and day out to make sure the whole system worked. And that leaves us with a final thought. We've just explored one soldier's story, just a single thread in this massive, secret tapestry. And it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many thousands of other stories like this are out there, completely untold? How many unseen, unrecognized people formed that invisible foundation that kept a very fragile peace for over 40 years?